Nigeria's debt to gross domestic product ratio has crossed 50% for the first time ever, according to the Debt Management Office. The country's public debt has increased from 97.34 trillion to 121.67 trillion between December 2023 and March 2024.
Now, this raises concerns about Nigeria's ability to manage its debt with potential economic deep, similar to the experiences of Ghana, Zambia, and Ethiopia. Global ratings agency Moody's also stated that Nigeria's interest spending on debt may consume up to 36% of the federal government's revenue in 2024. Joining us to discuss this is Chief Economist at SPM Professionals, Paul Alaje. Good morning. Thanks for joining us.
Good morning. Thank you so very much for having me. A beautiful morning to you.
Great to have you. Let's start with, first of all, understanding what this means for those who do not, have any idea what debt to GDP ratio is and why it is a problem. We're talking about 50%. So share with us, first of all, what does this mean?
The entire size of Nigeria economy, that is everything that exchange hands, monetary terms in Nigeria, it refers to the GDP. In accounting, accounting of the GDP, we use a formula. That is, the national income equals to total household consumption plus total private investment plus total government expenditure plus the difference between import and export. You can imagine how humongous that would be. When you have that number, we are now saying that 52% of that number is what we are owing in debt. Should that concern us? Yes. I can also balance this by saying, I understand some economists will tell you, it really doesn't matter. What matters is not the GDP. We have seen Japan, America, countries that even owe far more than what Nigeria has in its debt to GDP. There are two sides to this. And I will tell you the elephant in the room, or the key factor we need to look at here. The key factor here is exchange rate. Our GDP was bigger than what it was until we devalued the naira. Our debt profile was lower than what it was until we devalued the naira. The common denominator is devaluation. If you want to tame a people, if you want to destroy a people, before you throw missiles and guns and grenades to them, if you can devalue their economy, don't worry, without shooting a bullet, you will soon overcome them, because they will perpetually depend on those whose currency is larger or greater than them, especially when you do trade, when you trade together. That is, when you export to them and they import from you. It's a matter of time. They will be on their nails. This is the danger of devaluation. Only countries that have huge exports, countries that the rest of the world depends on them for their imports, or country that's large export to the rest of the world, is the one we advise should devalue in Nigeria. So you are seeing this is a fiscal concern, but it is induced by monetary implications. Because we devalue, we did not look holistically at the implication. Let me also now speak to debt to GDP. Debt may not necessarily be bad. It depends on what you do with it. A tablet of paracetamol may not be too much, but when you consume 1,000 tablets at the same time, then it becomes an issue. So debt to GDP may not be the problem. Where is the problem? You now look at, are you able to service your debt? So economics will say that when you have debt to GDP increasing, then you say that this is merely a necessary condition. It is sufficient when the service of debt does not go beyond 33.3% of your annual revenue. Unfortunately, for federal government, debt to GDP this year alone will go beyond 40%. It may even go beyond 50%. We came from a year in 2023 where our debt service to revenue was over 80%. In fact, the former minister had mentioned 98% in Q1 of 2022 of 2023. And the current minister has revealed, when he analyzed the budget, that the largest single item in 2024 budget of the federal government is debt service. So do we say that it's a budget of reconciliation, or budget of hope, or budget of debt? Well, the item speaks for itself.
Now let's talk about, what this means and how this can be interpreted to, businesses, owners of businesses, and the average Nigerian. What does this mean for all of us?
Well, it means that we are now owing, and our government, we want to be purposeful in either raising revenue or asking for debt restructuring or looking for different strategy to clear debts. So what does it mean to us? It means that government, one way or the other, we want to look for more monies, because what brought us here in the first instance, why was subsidy removed? We felt that the amount we spend on subsidy, among other things, is not sufficient. So we have to look for money by all ways or by all means. That is why we got to this point. But now that debt is also increasing as a result of policy, not necessarily because we borrow more, because we are looking at December to Q1, which is March 2024. That's December 2023 to March 2024, within a quarter. The real issue, one of the key issues, maybe not the only issue, one of the key issues there is devaluation. So it is important for us to know that as a people, if we must keep devaluing, then we'll keep owing. And we'll keep owing more, especially nearly 50% of the entire debt profile, which is the foreign loan that is the component of that 2020, of that reported debt profile that we have. So implication for you as an individual is that government may decide to raise more money, then you have to pay more. Number two, as business people, government may want to raise taxes. And it's not just to raise taxes, it's also to say that there are new method of generating revenue for government. So it could be charges, it may not necessarily be traditional tax, but government we want to find a way to pay these monies. And when I say payment, I'm not saying paying all, just to service it.
Okay, there's other parts, that I just want, a clear, some clarity for our viewers this morning, so we understand what we're dealing with. But before we get into that, I would definitely like you to speak on the 36% of the federal government's revenue, which may come up, which may be used in paying up debt. But I want you to, address the devaluation thing. You've mentioned it a few times, in this conversation. Did the Nigerian government get to a point where it felt like that was the only option available to it at that time? Or do you think that there are other ways that we could have handled the situation in those moments? But we, of course, took the wrong steps by going ahead to devalue.
It was a wrong step to float the naira. I've said it across all platforms. It was a wrong step. And I can tell you, you can put this down in less than 2 to 3 years. We will go back to that point, and the currency will never remain the same again. Late December last year to early January, I was very vehement in saying that if we are not careful, this economy will have a major setback. 2 months ago, it was reported by IMF that Nigeria is no longer the largest economy in Africa. We are now the 3rd largest economy. We are eyeing the 4th position. So the question is, what should we have done? The answer is, why did we devalue? We devalued because we felt our foreign reserve is not enough. We devalued because we made promises to some airline who deposited money with us to get the money back in hard currency became an issue. We devalued because some state governors felt that money that is coming to them is not sufficient. They needed to earn more money. We devalued because government revenue is dwindling. We devalued. So you can look at all the reasons. So in all of this, why did we single out devaluation as the solution? The answer to some of our problems are from supply side. And the supply side, we say, how do we improve outputs? The output factor has not been improved. If it has improved, you are going to see the value of Naira increased. Against all of this, you could still see that rather than the value of Naira became stable, it's still getting dwindled. Only yesterday, it marginally improved in the last 9 days compared to the sporadic fall we have seen in the value of Naira consistently for some weeks now. So for me, I think there were options. I think there are things we could have done, and I strongly spoke against it, and I've not really changed in terms of saying devaluation was not an option.
What would you say that the options
the
were?
I give most of the time.
What would you say that the options were? Because you're saying that...
I will give them to you.
Okay,
I will give them to you. I will give them to you. I will give them to you. The analogy I give most of the time is that you ask Debo, Mr. Macaroni, the popular comedian, to fight with Anthony Joshua in a boxing ring. That is Naira representing Debo, and Anthony Joshua representing, what's it called? Representing the boxer, that's the dollar. So you already know who would win. In this case, what should we have done? Reduce waste, number one. Number two, the things we don't need to buy, we don't have to buy. Three, we open our votes for people bringing in toothpick, for people bringing in tomatoes, for people bringing in all manner of things to our country. It's going to send signal to our reserve. Number four, we have the parallel market that is stronger than the official market. That is where the real problem is. 42% of the cost of devaluation is caused by the parallel market. People who are speculating. But as a government, are we sending positive signaling for people to stop speculation? Have we even stopped it today? Is it not still getting devalued? The answer is it's still getting devalued. So until we stop allowing people to speculate by posing confidence in that currency. Look at what we did in around, I think that was around March, when the currency crossed to 1,900, I beg your pardon.
Yeah.
What did the government do differently? We started sending signaling. We started going to the BDC market. We started talking to them. You cannot be selling, you are destroying your country. Some of them got scared. The value started going down. That time, government was backing it up with supply to the market.
All right.
And
All right, Mr. Alaje.
supply, marginal supply to the market.
Yeah.
And you could see the price came down. Why did we stop? The challenge was that we stopped. I live in Abuja, and I saw what happened in Zone 4, and I see what is happening now in Zone 4.
All right. Mr. Alaje, can you hold on?
So, if we don't...
Yeah, can you hold on?
Efforts,
In the interest of time, can you hold on?
Okay.
Yeah, I apologize. I want us to quickly, address as many of the concerns as possible because we need to wrap up this conversation. There's a part that you did also mention earlier, and I'm going to share once again. The report says that Ghana has a debt-to-GDP ratio of about 84.9%. South Africa is about 72.2%, and Egypt has 70.1%. And these countries, of course, do not seem to be in the same economic crisis that we're putting Nigeria at. So if Nigeria is at 50% and these countries are as high as 70 and 80%, what makes Nigeria's own so much of a concern?
They are also in several economic crises. It's just that ours seems to be deepened. They are all in. African leaders should understand that there is no shortcut to economic prosperity. African leaders must start by demonstrating. I understand the place of bottom up, but the top bottom play key roles. Go to the UAE, go to Germany, go to UK, go to London. If you're a leader, you must be ready to lead correctly. All those leaders have their concerns, and I've been to those places, they have issues. So it is not the percentage that South Africa has 70%. What matters is what proportion of income. At the end of the day, it is money we received. The money received that will be used to pay back or to service. Are they able to service? You know what Ghana did recently, not too long ago, some months back, I think a year or so back. When they promised people treasury bill, Ghana had to review it. And that made investors to lose confidence in Ghana. Is that the kind of country we are setting up as an example? Is that the example we are setting up? That we have concerns about Ghana financial sovereignty. So poor management of the economy. It's high time we citizens understand that when we vote for leaders and the leaders don't have economic might to govern very well or appoint people with quality economic soundness, I'm telling you, it will come back to hurt all of us.
Yeah, all right.
And this message is for all political parties, all leaders. And I hope we really understand it for a better future for us and a greater economy for our nation.
I would always argue, that I still don't believe that it is lack of knowledge because there's too many sound economic minds across Nigeria that could advise the government on what's best to do. So I don't believe that it is, lack of information or knowledge.
I agree, but when you look at people who are making policy for us,
yes,
you need to go and look at their profile.
Yes.
Go and look at the profile of the people who are making policy for Nigeria. And I mean key decision maker. You can start with MPC. Take your time and study. Economics is like medicine. You cannot allow your wife to be treated, the one to deliver, to be treated by mechanic.
I agree.
But when it comes to economic issues, we say that no, just anybody can do it. It's an administrative thing. That is why we are getting administrative economic results.
All right, Paul Alaje.
Truly, there are people out there that that can help us, but we must be serious that we want to be helped.
All right. Thanks a lot. Not a very, very bright story, or picture rather, has been painted about where we are and where we're going. But we would like to speak with you again in a very short while. Thanks very much for joining us this morning.